This is the human heart. Central to our physical body, our survival, revered by poets throughout history as the emotional center of our being. The place we instinctively touch when asked to point to ourselves. And now, what we have known intuitively is being understood scientifically. Researchers are unlocking a new science of the heart that could change everything we know about health and our interconnected nature. Coherence is a state of balance between heart, mind, and emotions, creating a favorable cascade of neural, hormonal, and biochemical events that benefit the entire body. But this phenomenon not only benefits us personally, it affects everything around us, emitting an electromagnetic field that can be measured up to 3 feet outside of the body. When you are in coherence, your heart resonates at the same frequency as the Earth's magnetic field. This frequency positively affects everything around you. When a group of people are in coherence together, this effect is magnified. Could communities synchronized in coherence lower violence, accelerate cooperation, and global harmony? This is the purpose of the Global Coherence Pulse. If we can measure the impact of thousands of people in coherence at the same time, it could lead to a breakthrough in understanding the full potential of the human heart. All you need to participate is your presence and your heart. To take it to the next level, join the research study by downloading the app and getting an HRV monitor to measure your personal coherence. The world needs it more than ever before. Each human heart is unique and magnificent by itself. But imagine what could be possible when we unify.
So I want to say welcome to everybody. I'm super excited that you're all here today. And today's the day that we get to claim for ourselves and for our global family and for all of life. And the best way that we can claim this day, to celebrate this day, is to connect through the heart, to our innate coherence, and to pulse the planet in the unified field that we all share with our love today, with our care and our compassion, with our courage and our awe, and of course with our overflowing gratitude. And so let's start with gratitude. Let's start by placing our hands on our hearts. This is really the star of the show today. And let's dedicate this day to your heart and its pulsing beats that indicate that we are indeed alive. And let's dedicate this day to our breath, flowing in and out of our hearts. It's moving in harmony with your heart, and let's allow the feeling of gratitude to rise up and circulate through your body as your heart beats and your breath flows in and out. And I always like to take a moment to feel the bottom of my feet. So let's do that together. And send a wave of gratitude to our Mother Earth. So blessed. So blessed to be here, to be in this life, to be in this place, to be in this moment. And let's send that wave of gratitude to all of those that are joining together today to pulse the planet with our love. Let's saturate this moment with our gratitude. And let's pulse this feeling from our shared heart onto the planet right now. Global Coherence Day. Let's spend the whole day pulsing love across the planet. And in this field of gratitude, I just want to make a few acknowledgements before we really begin. And I want to acknowledge some of the partners who have really made this possible. So the first is I really want to thank Awake TV Network, who has been hosting Pulses from the very, very beginning when we started in April. And Amanda and John, the owners, and Bree, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Bree, on Global Coherence Day. Perfect day to have a birthday. They have been supporting us, and they are doing so much to get a coherent message of love and hope and possibility out to the world. So you'll be hearing more about them as we go. I also want to thank Unify, who's streaming right now. We have Ian on with us that's helping us do a live broadcast, and they've stepped up in so many ways. Tammy, her beautiful new baby, Adil, Rachel, Maya, the whole team of Unify has been doing extraordinary things to get these kinds of global synchronized events happening all around the world. And another one of our main sponsors and partners is HeartMath Institute and the Global Coherence Initiative. And it's really in the rich soil of the garden that they've been cultivating for so many years that the Global Coherence Pulse and these kind of things are rising up on the planet right now. So I think we all need to send a wave of gratitude to the work that they've done to really expose the research of the power of our hearts. And the app and sensor, if you have, I have my sensor on. If you've downloaded the Global Coherence app, it's a wonderful way for you to see yourself on a map. We can track our coherence, and we're going to be using that throughout the day and also throughout our month-long experience, which I'll tell you more about later. And I also just want to put a shout out to my partners at Live It Now Productions, Penny and Alexi, who I tell you tirelessly have been working to create some beautiful things, to make us coming together in these pulses and as a community possible. And I just want to say thank you guys. We've been a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of hard work, but always done with great joy. And I want to acknowledge the growing number of partners that we have. I mean, you can look on our website and the partner list is just growing and growing. Pretty soon it's going to be a whole webpage just of partners. And I want to thank all of them because you're here because they invited you, right? All of these different organizations coming together to collaborate and synergize at a whole new level. We're really learning how to do that in mutually beneficial ways so that we can maximize our synergy, and we can really rise up and serve the communities that we love to grow and to ripple out and to magnify and amplify the power of our passions and our missions. And I really want to thank all of you for being here, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to pulse the planet in such a powerful way. And we had over 9,000 people register on the Zoom from the last time I checked. And I know we've maxed it out in just a moment. And I know that there's thousands more joining on Facebook. I think really there's probably millions, maybe billions of us on the planet right now who know that it is really essential that we begin to pulse the field with heart-centered coherence in the face of the big changes and challenges that we're facing. And at last, I just want to acknowledge that we had the first Global Coherence Day last year at the Resonance Retreat at 1440 Multiversity. And I just really want to say that the energy that we generated there, the experience that we had there, we're rising on that right now. Like, I really want to thank the people who were there and participated both in person and around the world. The ripples of the love and the coherence we generated is still going strong. So today's the Global Coherence Day. We're going to have 3 sessions, 3 pulse sessions. This one this morning. We have another one this afternoon at 2 o'clock with Nassim Haramain and the crew from the Resonance Science Foundation. And then tonight we have a really fun soul salon with Jess Magic and a number of Heartists for a real celebration. So I hope that you'll come back and join us for those. They all will be recorded and you'll be able to access them from the website at any time, but we hope you'll join us live and keep pulsing the field all day today. We have added music, information to every session, and synchronized meditation. So what you can count on is in the first hour, we'll be providing some inspiring content to really help us to understand about the power of coherence, of our heart-centered coherence, and why cultivating deeper levels of it and being in practice together is so important. And then we'll always include music and a synchronized meditation. So the second hour of these sessions will be dedicated to more music and meditation, where the first hour is more information. So that's a lot of logistics, and I just wanted to add just a few personal things from my heart before I turn it over for a little music to start us out. And I was thinking the other day of kind of an analogy of how I feel about this time right now. And it's kind of like, I imagined standing on a pier when a tsunami was approaching, and all of a sudden, like, everything just rolls back and everything is exposed. And it's just this kind of shock, like instantly everything is different than it was before. There's so much that's being revealed. And we know that something is going to fill that space. We can feel the potency of that. And I think that some of us are either standing facing into this moment, and there's fear and shock and frustration, or maybe there's boredom or confusion or overwhelm. I know many are feeling that. Maybe little bits at times we all are. And some of us maybe are getting ready, because we can feel there's a change coming no matter what we do or do not do. And we're taking care and we're taking stock and we're tuning in. And maybe we're turning around so that when the wave comes, the wave of change comes, that we can move with it. So we can be ready to surf the change that's coming, knowing that we can and really are in every moment influencing the shape and the frequency and the direction of this huge wave of change through the quality of our presence, our inner and outer health and well-being, our choices, and our courage. And our trust, now backed by science, we know that we are coherent by nature, and we're each an exquisite note in a vast symphony of vibration and sound and light and form. And when we're in heart coherence, we're in harmony with life, with earth, with nature, with cosmos, with each other, because at the heart of it all, it's all one. So this Global Coherence Day and the month-long experience that we'll be inviting you into provides a space for us to explore our natural state of coherence. And in this amplified field, because when we come and do it together, we're all capable of more than we can do alone. We can deepen our commitment to cultivating and sustaining and embodying and celebrating this natural state of coherence that we are, and pulse the planet with it. Because it's time now for us to sing the unique note that we are, in harmony with all the other notes in the universe, or the one song. So from here, I'd really like to bring on my sweet brother Manose to just give us a little musical centering. so that we can all begin to pulse the field with our love and our presence and our hearts today. I love you all. I'm so, so, so grateful that you're here. And Manose, I'm going to have you come on your camera there and spotlight your video.
Namaste.
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 Love you so
Namaste.
much.
Namaste. Namaste. You, all you. Namaste. I honor my divinity, honor your divinity. I meet you there. I meet you there. All you beloved ones. What an amazing time. What an amazing time. What an opportunity for all of us coming together in this way. Such a beautiful, amazing time. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Saranam means to take refuge into. I take refuge into Buddha. Dhamma is the teachings of a Buddha. I take refuge into the teachings of a Buddha. Sangha, What is Sangha? This is Sangha. You guys have created the Sangha. The coherence of your heart, those beating every heart all over the world. They're beating in the same pulse with love. That's Sangha. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bless you, Manose. Bless you for your sweet, sweet heart. We'll be hearing more from Manose as the day goes on. Thank you so much, my favorite brother. Love you. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to bring up Rolin McCraty. I think maybe I might have you do that, Ian, because I'm not able to spotlight his video now. If you can do that. We're finally live on Facebook. There we go. We had a little glitch. For those of you who are on the Zoom line and you have friends who have been trying to get in and they're saying there's nothing happening out on Facebook, we just got that going. So Rolin, let's just see your face for just one sec. Rolin McCraty's here from Heart Math Institute. Rolin, I just so appreciate your partnership with us with the Global Coherence Pulse and everything that Heart Math Institute and Global Coherence Initiative have done over the years to even make this moment possible where heart coherence is the star of the show. So thank you, Rolin. I love you so much. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. And really appreciate all the partners in the Global Coherence Pulse, because it's really what it's all about, and is pulsing our own selves and the earth and the fields of the earth with love and unconditional love. So I'm just going to do a brief kind of overview of some of the science of global coherence and really what the research has been unfolding over the last 30 years or so. And hopefully cover why this is important. You know, so I think it's good to start with coherence. What is coherence anyway? Coherence is a term we use in physics and in science to describe systems, or complex systems typically, and how all the parts of a system are either working together harmoniously or really not. That would be what we would call an incoherent system. But for a large system or complex system to really work, all the parts have to be talking to each other. There has to be communication and connectedness. And we can apply that to the entire universe. It's a coherent wholeness. Coherent system is also stable, and it's one that uses energy very efficiently. One of the aspects of a coherent system is that what emerges from that system is greater than the sum of the parts. And in the context of what we're doing today altogether, is that when our hearts come together in coherence, not only is our own physiology coherent, but that coherence among us allows a synchronization and an amplification so that we put a stronger signal into the planetary field environment that helps lift others. So before I get into too much of the science, what I would really invite all of us to do is to, as we pulse through the meditations today, but as we try and bring more radiating love into the field, every day, throughout our days, as often as we can remember to do it. I would encourage you to set reminders on your watch or post-it notes or whatever. Just radiate love, because it really counts. What we're now seeing from the scientific community is that the field matters, and what we put into the field then unfolds into the physical, into the reality. So this is a new science. It's old science, but also new science that we're really starting to be able to see and measure these. So when we talk about coherence here at HeartMath, the HeartMath Institute, we're really talking about three primary large domains. Personal, us, how coherent are we in our own physiology and our own thoughts and emotions, and our ability to really align with the heart's intelligence. Then social, how coherent and harmoniously aligned are the different individuals within a family, a group, a community, a country. And then of course, global, which we'll be talking mostly about today. The way I'd like to define personal coherence at a kind of a higher level is it's an optimal state in which the mind and emotions are brought into alignment and in sync with the energetic heart's intuitive guidance. And there's a lot of science around that I don't have time to go into today. And I invite anybody who wants to get deeper into the science to come to the heartmath.org website, and under the research library, there's hundreds of papers now published around coherence and the benefits of it. But when we're able to shift into and practice being in a coherent state, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that shortly, that creates a lot of benefits in our body. Hormonal changes, nervous system changes, that really is this optimal state that we can learn to shift into and live in more ratios of the time. So just kind of a little background here. A lot of people don't understand, even in medicine, even though it's been known since the late 1800s, that the heart sends far more information, neural information, magnetic information to the brain than the other way around. And that the quality of these signals that the heart sends upstairs profoundly affects perception. Our emotional experience are all profoundly affected by the activity of the heart. And this was a big mystery for a long time. How could the heart be doing this? And studies even showed that the heart somehow knows before even the brain in many situations and prepares the brain to optimize it. I mean, data's going back even into the 60s and 70s showing this. What they didn't know back then that we now know through the field of neurocardiology is that the heart literally has its own complex nervous system, its own brain, technically called the intrinsic cardiac nervous system. That's a whole presentation and a talk to go into, but just wanted to give that background for today. One of the ways we can measure and understand the activity in our nervous system, how this the quality of this communication between the heart and the brain, is looking at what's called heart rate variability. And heart rate variability is simply the time between each pair of heartbeats is always changing. And it's that beat to beat change that gives rise to the heart's rhythm. So if there were no beat to beat change, there would be no heart rhythm. So these graphs you're seeing now are the rhythmic activity of the heart of the same person in two different states, an incoherent state. And this is what emerges in our nervous system activity, reflected in these heart rhythm patterns, when we're feeling things like impatience and frustration or anxiety and fear, worry, and so on. And this is literally reflecting that the activity within the brain and the nervous system, the communication between the heart and the brain, is out of sync. It's not very coherent. It's very energy inefficient. We're using a lot of extra energy. Now, this same person on the right side that you see here is in a coherent state. And this is naturally emerges when we're actually really having heartfelt feelings of appreciation, compassion, love, unconditional love. This is what naturally emerges. Now, once we understood the deep physiology of this and how we're actually wired, that allowed us to develop many what we call the HeartMath techniques that allow us to shift from incoherence to coherence anytime, anywhere. So it's really more about in the moment as we go through our day, navigating the different challenges and frustrations that we might have. And it's not about always necessarily walking around coherent, but how do we start shifting the ratios? How do we start adding love more often into the field? Now, one of the ways that we're able to do that is through technology. And we have a number of apps, but the one that especially developed for things like the Global Coherence Pulse and large synchronized events is called the Global Coherence app, which Teresa mentioned earlier. And if you haven't, I would invite you to download it from whichever app store, either the App Store or Google Play, called the Global Coherence app. And this app really feeds back, how coherent are you? Is your heart rhythms? And it has these really fun displays. The center ring that you see on the right grows and expands relative to you and your personal coherence. So we want to make it grow and get brighter and bigger, where the external rings, the purple rings, reflect the group, the community. So right now, I have a sensor on. I'm using the app, and there's about 160 people all over the world. You can kind of maybe see the map here. And all these little dots on the map, which let me show you here. I'm on a slide. So you can actually see your heart rhythm on one of the screens, but one I wanted to show you here is the global map that, and all these little dots light up showing your relative location, not your actual address, but the city you're in or your general location. All of these pink dots are actual people who are here right now, radiating love into the field environment. And one of the things I like to do is to really connect with all of these dots on the map and radiate love to all of those people to help synchronize and amplify our effects with them. So it's a kind of a neat feature of the app. And you can use this app without the pulse sensor. You'll show up on the map, and it has guides and meditation guides, and it lets us count you, know where you are, be part of the community. But to take it to the next level and really be involved in the ongoing research that we'll be doing in collaboration with the Global Coherence Pulse, which I'll just explain a bit more in a few moments, is you can get the HRV sensor, the pulse sensor. I have one on my ear here now, which just plugs into your phone, and the Bluetooth works with either Android or iOS. But this allows you to actually see your HRV and practice making the shifts into coherence. And it's a great tool for helping meditation. We hear so much feedback about how when we get coherent first, that it really amplifies and it deepens our meditation experience. So getting coherent is really getting our systems in sync. But that's not only has a lot of personal benefits, it actually also affects others around us. So one of the things I like to say a lot is to pause throughout the day and ask yourself, what am I feeding the field? And I mean this literally, because with each heartbeat, the heart produces electricity. That's what we call why we call it the electrocardiogram, when we put electrodes across the chest and measure this current flow. But whenever there's current flow, we create a magnetic field, and that's measured with a different instrument called the magnetometer. And we can see now that, so we know that the heart is radiating a magnetic field, many feet into the external environment. You can think of this as your personal field environment, and we can use techniques to measure the information being broadcast, being carried by that field, and see that the information being carried by the heart's field is measurably different when we're in a state of appreciation or coherence and love and compassion versus things like frustration and anger. So we are literally feeding the field with information that we can now measure. So it's been in our language all along. Where we have sayings like the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, right? Or they're really radiating good vibes. It's actually true, and we can now measure it. And a number of studies have now shown that this really does matter. So that when we're in a coherent state, it actually can have a measurable effect on others who don't even know anything about it or what's going on, who are naive to this. It actually can help lift them into a more coherent and balanced optimal state. So a number of studies are now showing this. Again, I'm going through this kind of quickly because we don't have a lot of time. But the Global Coherence Initiative is really a science-based co-cooperative project. And this is really about uniting us, people, in heart-focused love and intention to facilitate the shift in global consciousness. And of course, we want to shift it to more stability, compassionate care, and really increasing peace is really what this is all about. And I can't say it enough. What we radiate into the field really does matter. It has, as I'll show you in a few minutes, measurable effects in the real world. So one of the mechanisms, a lot of people say, well, the heart's broadcasting radiating magnetic fields that we can measure, but it's only a few feet. How can that have a global impact? Well, here's how. So the Earth is constantly bathed in electromagnetic fields. We know this. This is basics, right? But these fields that we all live within, the geomagnetic field and the different fields, I'll show you some examples in a second, connect all living organisms on the planet, us included, but animals, trees, plants, it's all an integrated wholeness through these fields. So we're all living in this common vibrational field, and we're all contributing information into it based on our thoughts, but especially our feelings and our interactions with others, and all the emotions that we're feeling. So we're always constantly vibrating into the field. Right? So it's wonderful when we come together like events like today and really have intentions to be more coherent and pulse the field with love. But all the other times count too. So one of my main messages here is start being more aware of, as you can, what we're feeding the field. Okay. So when we bring large numbers of people together like we are today, when we're intentionally in heart-centered states of love and compassion, we amplify and create a more coherent pulse and signal into the field. And that really does have a measurable way of impacting and lifting others into a more coherent and balanced state. And if we do that often enough and consciousness enough, that can really help shift the current planetary stress waves into more coherent and loving fields. Now, one of the fathers of the field that we're really talking about is a Russian astrophysicist, Alexander Chesovsky. I won't go into his whole story and history here, but he did a study back in the 1920s where he looked at, I'm going to show you his original data here. So the blue line on top is the number of major human events that occurred each year, starting in 1749, that's the blue line on top, and then it wraps around on the bottom graph up to 1926 when he first published this. So each year is just a dot, number of major human events, like a revolution, start of a war, major discoveries, things like this that had global impact. The red line on the bottom is the solar cycle, or the amount of energy that the sun's basically putting out during that same time period. And this is an amazing correlation here. This has been verified many times by many different researchers and brought into modern history. It still looks just like this. So what this is showing us is that the energy from the sun, the magnetics from the sun, which the earth and all of its magnetic fields are within that field. So we're fields within fields, have effects on human behavior and on our consciousness. One of the things that later was shown is that during these solar cycles or increased energy influx into the planetary system are the greatest periods of human flourishing, right? So this is when there's more developments in cooperation in science, flourishing in the arts and in music, these types of things. So we're able to use this energy either positively or negatively, depending on our level of consciousness, how self-regulated we are, how aligned we are. Now to do science, we have to measure things. So we've been over many years now installing what we call the Global Coherence Monitoring System. And these are ultra-sensitive magnetometers placed around the Earth that measure the resonant frequencies, specifically designed to measure the resonant frequencies, I should say, in the Earth's magnetic fields. This is what the site looks like here in Boulder Creek, where I'm located in California. These are magnetometers are underground. This is one of our third sites up in Canada. There's Claudia, who will be speaking next after me, helping install a site up in Canada, one of our great supporters. So when we talk about the energetics or the magnetics of the Earth, one of the primary fields of importance is literally the geomagnetic field, which is the white lines on this slide are kind of representing those field lines, what are called field lines, and the North and South Pole, the field our compasses tune into. Now the key thing here is that these magnetic field lines, when the solar wind rushes by, they can literally vibrate just like guitar strings. So they're very long, so they have a lower frequency. And one of some new data that's really neat, I think, here is shown from these relatively new satellites from NASA, of these 5 satellites that are specifically designed to measure the Earth's magnetic field. So the little white dot you see here is the Earth. Now this is not an artist picture. This is actual real data where we can actually see the ringing and the complexity of the magnetic field of the Earth, the field that we all live within. So this field is vibrating, it's ringing and vibrating and resonating. And when we measure these fields here on Earth, we see that this lower frequency region, one is called 0.1 hertz. This is one of the primary resonant frequencies of the field lines resonating of the Earth. And all of these frequency ranges overlap with the same rhythms in our biology. of our autonomic nervous system, the heart rhythms in our nervous system. But 0.1 hertz is especially relevant because that is the same rhythm and frequency of the human heart rhythm and many animals as well when we're in a heart coherent state. So this is what heart coherence again looks like. It's a frequency of 0.1 hertz. So basically our hearts are resonating at the same rhythm and frequency of the field line resonances of the earth, but when we're in a coherent state. Now a second set of magnetic waves, a very different mechanism, are called Schumann resonances. And I know there's a lot of confusion around Schumann resonances these days. There's 8 of them, not just one. The first is 7.83 hertz, and then they go all the way up to really just under 60 hertz. And these all overlap with human brain waves. Okay, so the Schumann resonances, which are magnetic waves traveling around the surface of the earth, between the earth and the bottom of the ionosphere, resonate with our brain waves. But they're very low in magnitude or amplitude compared to the field line resonances. They're many orders of magnitude smaller, which is interesting in the same way it works in our body. If we measure the heart's field, we can measure it, say, many feet. You can measure a brainwave about an inch. And it's about the same ratio at the earth scale. So the field lines are resonating at very high magnetic strengths where the Schumann resonances are very low. And the Schumann resonances are the same frequency today that they were when they were first measured in 1959 and 1960. Now, so through resonance, basically we know when systems vibrate at the same frequency and they resonate, we can transfer energy and information. So what I've just shared with you is that our biology, our physiology, our hearts and brains are literally vibrating at the same primary frequencies as Earth, 2 primary frequencies. So we have the basic physics to understand how we can be transferring energy and information between our fields and the fields, the larger fields of the earth. So basically what I'm suggesting here is that our hearts and brains, especially hearts, are coupling to the fields of the earth, and which is why it's a globally distributed field. And that's, again, a whole hour or more's presentation. We can talk about the mechanisms of that. But some of the data that we've been collecting, I can only show you little bits of it here over the last few years. On this slide, this is a group of people wearing HRV devices that record their HRV for 24 hours a day, in this case, over a month, 30 days. And the surprise out of this research came when we time synchronized all of the people's data across, in this case, spread across the state of California, expecting it just to be a noisy flat line to all average out to nothing. However, that's not what we found. So if you look at the black line here, this is the group's HRV time synchronized together over this long time period. They were not, basically what this is going to just cut through here is these people are synchronized together. And the only thing that we could think of that would explain this is that they're synchronizing to an external signal that they're all exposed to. And that's the red line you see here. This is the power of the resonant frequencies of the Earth's field. So what we see here is almost unbelievable data. And we spent months trying to make this go away, but it's very real. In other words, we're far more in sync with each other and with the Earth than I would ever have predicted or believe possible. So we were then, we went on to duplicate this globally. So these are from groups all around the world, a very large study. And again, we see amazing levels of synchronization at the group level. Again, I won't go into all the scientific detail. It's all published, and you can see this in our papers. But there's 2 different types of synchronization, more than 2, but the primary ones. The graph on the left is showing how we get in the groups of people around the world are synchronizing with the Schumann resonance power, and on the right is what we call the field line resonances, or the very low frequency power. Again, amazing degrees of synchronization. So we're far more coupled with and in sync with the Earth's fields than most people would ever have believed or imagined to be true. Now, in the middle of this experiment, on these groups around the world, we had them do a heart-based meditation called the Heart Lock-In. And so now we're looking at one group. There are 20 people in each group. And what you're seeing on the left side of the screen here is the degree of synchronization that each individual had over a 24-hour period now with the Earth's fields. So it's kind of a summary of a whole day. They did a 15-minute heart focus meditation like we're doing today, or will be doing today. And what we found is, and this was true of all the groups around the world, even though I'm just showing you one group here, is the group, what we see on the right is the synchronization with the Earth's field. And they were also more in sync with each other as well. So this, in other words, 15 minutes of being in a coherent state, and coherence matters here, had a carryover effect of a whole 24-hour period. So when we get our cells more coherent and in sync, the heart and brain in sync, our fields are more coherent and it synchronized us more with the earth itself. The other set of data that we use and are very close friends in partnership with is the Global Consciousness Project. A lot of you are probably aware of that. Roger Nelson, this was started at Princeton. And this is a global network of random number generators. And in fact, we're in the process now. We've been asked to take over this project. So we're actually developing a new version of this that we call Global Consciousness 2.0. Which is the Citizen Scientist Project. So we'll be inviting many of you in the future to participate in this and host these sites around the world. So we want to expand this network by many times. My favorite study out of this, last 20 years of work, is this one, which basically what you're seeing here when these global events that triggered large emotional responses globally in people was subdivided into their level of love and compassion. So on the high, this would be events like today, things where we're really intentionally adding love to the field, global peace days, these types of things. In the medium, there's things like Super Bowls, World Cups, lots of emotion, but not necessarily a lot of love and compassion. And then low would be the fear responses from things like terrorist attacks and these types of things. And what clearly was shown in this data is that what's modulating the global field by far significantly more is those events in love and compassion, which makes perfect sense from what I'm sharing with you, because when we're in a more loving and compassionate state, we're more coherent in our own physiology. We're radiating measurably more coherent fields that resonate more and couple with the Earth's field. So that, again, we're seeing that large-scale outpourings of emotions really do affect the physical world in a measurable way. Now I'll just show one more slide from this network. And this is the response of this global network of the random number generators from our first global pulse meditation that we did just a few months ago. So what we would expect is the red line to be just kind of up and down, kind of noisy, following zero. I should add that line, but what we see is the red line walks up into a significantly modulated effect. In other words, the global network globally is being affected in a way that is adding coherence into the network. So it's not as random. Okay, so then basically the last thing I want to share with you is I really do believe we are at a point in the history of consciousness, or the evolution of consciousness, where we have an opportunity to make a leap, a significant leap into a more cooperative and compassionate way of being. So basically, it's time to feed the field with more love and care for each other. And I, again, would really invite you all to participate with us in not just during the pulses, but more times throughout the day, throughout the week, to really stop, pause, and ask yourself, what am I feeding the field? Can I feed the field more love? So with that, I will turn this now over to Claudia. And thank you so much for your attention and for being part of the Global Coherence Pulse. And I hope you join us for all the pulses to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rolin. Let's just feed the field and send Rolin a lot of love right now. Let's pulse it right over to him and all of the team at HeartMath who work so hard to really make this available. Thank you so much, Rolin. We really love you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let's go to Claudia. Beautiful. Claudia is the co-founder of the Global Coherence Pulse and a really dear friend of mine. We have been on the track of coherence from the very beginning, I think. And Claudia's also worked really closely with HeartMath, and she's brought coherence into every organization and initiative that she's done in a way that's unwavering. And Claudia, I'm really excited to have you as a partner in this and for you to share your love with everybody today.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for always showing up as coherently as you do. And thank you, Rolin. I really appreciate following your presentation, because once people understand the power of heart coherence, it's so easy to understand the potential of the Global Coherence Pulse and of pulsing the planet with our heart coherent energy, which is the main event and why we're here. But first, I'll add some context to allow what Rolin said to sink in. I know I saw some people on the chat were asking for a definition of heart coherence, and I will just say that I'll remind people that it is a state of optimal well-being and performance in the human system. Coherence in general, you can think of harmony, connectedness, dynamic stability, and when it's driven by the heart, you can think of love. So when I say coherence, you can actually think of love, because love is what creates the coherence naturally in the body. So we'd like to dedicate Global Coherence Day 2020 to a very young humanity in profound transition, and especially to the most marginalized among us, those most affected by a paradigm based on a belief in separation, and that's manifesting as crises in every domain of experience. The extent of our collective incoherence is so obviously on display right now. And our challenges are personal and structural, local and global, systemic, so-called super wicked problems, because there's no central external authority that seems to be able to solve them. And there is the opportunity in our crisis, because we know that crisis is an evolutionary driver, and we're being driven to cultivate our own inner authority, the authority of a coherent heart, and discover the power of humanity's collective heart to heal our world. We created the pulse because it's time. It's time to ask the question, what would love do? And let love answer. By embodying love ourselves, not just thoughts of love or hopes of love that may actually be riding on the frequencies of fear, but the kind of love that moves the world even when much of the world's not moving. The kind of love that remembers our connectedness. The kind of love that is like the difference between the power of a 40-watt bulb, which is spatially incoherent, and the power of laser light, which is spatially coherent light, precise enough for microsurgery and powerful enough to burn a hole through steel. We created the pulse because we recognize coherence as an untapped strategic resource that not only is unlimited, but that grows exponentially when used, and that can be deployed with strategic effectiveness. Since March, we've been building the foundation for these pulses based on the science of heart coherence that Rolin just shared, and on the art of embodying coherence, going beyond the intellectual understanding to a commitment to cultivation, using HeartMath's core practice based on 3 decades of research, not as the only way, many paths, one destination, but as an offering of one of the simplest, most profound ways to drive coherence in the human system. And we're assisted by technology as mirrors of our own inner process and how it affects our outer world. So we've been building this foundation over the last several months because we believe that the most essential contribution we each can make to this massive global change moment that the entire planet is in right now is through the coherence of our own hearts. A few months ago, I was preparing for our May Pulse session and found an article in the MIT Tech Review newsletter. The title was, "The Real Bailout is Happening on GoFundMe," the crowdsourcing platform. And it said that in the absence of government leadership in the United States during the pandemic, GoFundMe was watching their platform turn into the country's default social safety net, as the only dependable option became people self-organizing to support each other. At the time of that writing, over $120 million had been raised to help people with rent, grocery, and doctor bills, and yesterday I even read with funeral bills. And it struck me that what we're doing here is crowdsourcing love as the only dependable option. That what we're doing here is the self-organized banking of heart-coherent energy that's freely and non-locally, intelligently distributed within the collective field to uplift all life. And this is what Global Coherence Day is dedicated to, that upliftment. We're inspired by the Nobel Prize-winning physical chemist Ilya Prigogine, who was also known as the poet of thermodynamics, and who demonstrated that in complex systems that are far from equilibrium, as our world is now, small islands of coherence can shift the entire system to a higher order. This is one of our central themes, and we repeat it every pulse. And I also share that I think it's a scientific demonstration of what modern mystics like Thomas Hübl mean when they say that crisis and miracles are very close together. Because it's also true that the further a system is from equilibrium or stability, the worse the crisis is, the less energy it takes to create change. And maybe we even know that from our own lives, like the straw that breaks the camel's back. So the question we want to answer is, how much love will it take to realign humanity with nature's innate coherence? How much love will it take to move our world from our current state of emergency to one of emergence? Maybe not as much as we think, because when it comes to coherence, it's not quantity over quality. Research suggests that small groups of coherent individuals have more power to affect the global field environment than large groups of meditators that don't have coherence at the core. And coherence at the core is our commitment. The Pulse is an open citizen science initiative that represents a growing network of networks, backed by a new scientific collaboration that includes HeartMath's Global Coherence Initiative, the Global Consciousness Project, and the Institute of Noetic Sciences, or IONS, representing a growing global network of sensors and social metrics being monitored to correspond with our coherence pulses, coming together to support the creating of a critical mass of islands of coherence, to create a clear signal through all the noise, to create a tipping point where the love of power is eclipsed by the power of love, of gratitude, of joyful appreciation, and then not just make that shift, but turn up that power by turning the embodiment of coherence into a social function, something we do not just for our own bodies, but for our social and planetary bodies, because it is all one, making it intentional and collaborative. So global meditations aren't new, and thankfully there are many more happening in response to our world situation, and we exist to support them. And as Rolin said, much of the heart science isn't new, or maybe he didn't say it this time, but he usually mentions that a lot of the heart science is over 100 years old. But what is relatively new is the understanding of what a powerful point of conscious intervention the heart is in creating whole system coherence. What is new is the understanding of how much agency we each have in creating coherence in the world. What is new is the collective commitment we're seeing to claiming our coherence by putting this agency into action for creating whole system health and well-being, or whole system coherence, whether it's through electromagnetic fields, quantum entanglement, in whatever ways it's happening, to help humanity recognize a higher version of ourselves, and to help science tell a new story of our profound interconnectedness by contributing to the scientific evidence that suggests that imbuing the field with our love and compassion, not just the acts they inspire, but the felt perceptions themselves, by doing that, we're changing the world. So as we transition to our pulsing, please remember before we start that we're not trying to create an effect on any of the measurement technologies. That would actually be counterproductive and is a different experiment entirely. We're just claiming our coherence. We are relaxing into love and gratitude, and we do it for ourselves and for all of life. So please remember that contributing our coherence doesn't depend on any of the technologies, but with them, we can observe our personal and collective skill building. And as citizen scientists, we can provide vital data for observing our impact. The founder of IONS, Apollo 14 astronaut and 6th man to walk on the moon, Edgar Mitchell, had an epiphany in space that showed him that what he called agape love, what's also called unconditional love, is the organizing principle of the entire universe. This is what we're using. And given that the sacred text, the Upanishads, is reported to regard the heart as the fulcrum of the entire cosmos, who knows how far our impact can go? Thank you for joining us today. I'll hand it back to you, Teresa.
Beautiful, Claudia. Your descriptions and the way in which you know what the pulse is for the planet is so palpable and so easy to understand and to really take in. And let's send a little pulse wave of love to Claudia for all that she's been doing on the planet for so many years to make heart-centered coherence be something that is being focused on and embodied. Thank you so much for all of your love and presence. Yeah. We're going to go back to Manose, and we're going to have some music and then lead into our pulse meditation. And I would just like to invite us that while we're spending time with Manose with the music, is that we are continuing to just pulse the field, really tuning into our hearts and really beginning to deepen our meditation, our awake meditation here. So Manose, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight your video. Looks like I can't do that. There we go. Nope. Ian, can you spotlight Manose's video for me, please? There we go. Great.
Am I spotlighted? Oh, Claudia, thank you so much. Oh, wow. So much amazing information. Upanishad from, it's so simple, no? When it comes, it's so simple. Why we have to make it so complicated? So simple. My God. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear the pulse? Can you hear it? I hear it.
I can hear it.
Anyway, next to that pulse, there is a little elephant-headed god just walking along. Can you feel that? His name is Ganesh. Okay, I grew up in Kathmandu, Nepal, and next to my home there is a temple of Ganesh, and Ganesh is an elephant-headed god, and he's also known as a remover of obstacles, or you can look at it a source of a new beginning, a source of opportunity, a source of auspiciousness. So when we chant for Ganesha, all your obstacles becomes your path. All the things you look, it's obstacles, it's just your illusion. And Ganesha brings you right there. Ganesha remind us to be there. The things that stopping you, actually, it's something that telling you, giving you, showing you the light. So let's, if I may, I would love to invoke, of course, Ganesha is always with us, but all together in this set, I would love to invoke him. Would you join me? Thank you. This goes like this. Ganesha, Ganesh, would you repeat? Ganesha, Saranam. Saranam, that's again the Sanskrit word, it comes back again. Saranam, it's very important. Saranam, Saranam means to take a refuge in Ganesha. I acknowledge Ganesha. I take bow to Ganesha. It comes to surrendering in love. It's that simple. Surrendering in that pulse that Claudia talked about. Ganesha Saranam, Saranam Ganesha, Ganesha Saranam. You can feel in that beat that the elephant is coming towards you. Ganesha Saranam Saranam Ganesha 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 Saranam Saranam 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 Ganesha Saranam Saranam Ganesha 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 Don't hold back to dance, huh? This is amazing. Feel that pulse. Ganesha Saranam Saranam Ganesha 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 Ganesha Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for Teresa. I love when you look at his yes, more. I love your giggle. Come on, more.
Oh, it's hard not to laugh and smile with your beautiful, radiant, smiley face and the joy that you put into everything. Manose, thank you so much. I
You
think
know,
you.
it's one thing, Teresa. If it's not joyful, it's not meditation. Not joyful, it's not meditation. So, always make sure there's joy in there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Manose. Thank you so much. I love you so much. We'll hear from Manose one more time before we close out today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to go next to some friends of ours, Dirk and Hilary with Coherence Hotspot. These guys are really supporting people to create coherence groups where you live, right? So that we can really connect together and build coherence in relationship to others, which, we're doing here on the field. We have 1,000 people on the line. We have 1,000 people out on Facebook, and the field helps us to cultivate more than we can do alone. And you guys know the power of that, and people being able to do that at home and in person and in communities. And we're really excited to have you join us today. Dirk and Hilary are also going to be hosting our after party on Zoom, where you can go and hang out a little bit and spend some time with them, and they'll share a lot of their thoughts. So thank you both for being with us and for all the love that you put into the field to support people to generate heart coherence in their lives.
Thank you so much, Teresa and Manose and Rolin and Claudia, with all that you share. It's all so beautiful, the science behind all of it, and then bringing the music in to collectively shift the field in that respect as well. We've heard with all the resonance, we have all this beautiful science and information now. So we'd like to take this opportunity to now actually integrate that, put that into action with our heart mantra. So it's really beautiful. Dirk will be guiding us through that. And we do this every Sunday. We do this globally every Sunday. So we're really excited to be a part of today with the Global Coherence Pulse's founding partners. We love the support that we get from everybody there. And so welcome everybody. Hope you really love this beautifully heart-focused mantra that we'll be sharing with you. And without further ado.
I love what Manose said, if it isn't joyful, it isn't, it is not coherent. And I really, really love that. And we couldn't resonate more with that. And thank you, Hilary, so much for, always partnering with me in this. It's so cool to be part of this larger network. So I would like to, first of all, start a little bit of music in the background. And I'd like to just pay attention to where you are right now, because you've been listening to a lot of speaking beautiful words. And at the same time, coherence is about deep feeling. This is celebrating our coherence today. That's the title of our event. With celebration comes joy. We come together here, no matter where we are on the planet, because we're deeply connected in our hearts. We create coherence together, and of course, we always start in our hearts. Just pay attention to how you feel right now. And maybe you want to take a deeper breath. Just breathe a little deeper and slower than you normally do. And just feel that connection with your body. Just imagine that your heart has two small lungs you're breathing through. And you just feel air flow through those two lungs in your heart. Don't you like to think? Just tell your mind, you think you're important, but we'll park these thoughts for now because I'm busy breathing. Take another deep breath and feel that connection with your heart. While you're breathing and feeling that connection with your heart, maybe you just can feel grateful for being able to breathe, being able to feel the sensations in your body. This beautiful global coherence pulse day. And today, the global coherence pulse is this gigantic global coherence hotspot. Just feel that air flow through your heart. It's time now to get out of your own way. Stop trying. Surrender into your breath. And deeply feel. You don't have to do your best to ripple it out. Because the closer you stay connected to your heart, the higher coherent you are. The more powerful our global heart, our cosmic heart, beats in a coherent way. And while I'm talking, just keep feeling the connection with your heart. Keep breathing deeply and slower than you normally do. You stay grounded. There's a beautiful word for staying grounded in an African language. They call it hidi. I would like now to share some beautiful words. It's a heart mantra. It's a sacred formula. I would like to share it with you now.
I breathe. Allow me to feel. My heart. Our wisdom. Thank you. I am you.
Can you feel it? Can you feel the words? You're never alone when you breathe. We're deeply connected to the larger field, as Rolin so beautifully explained. And whatever you feel inside is also a representation of all of us around you. Because I am you, you are me. Just keep feeling your heart and breathing deeply. With your heart is the source of not just your wisdom, It's the source of our collective wisdom. And the deeper we breathe and feel, connecting our awareness to our heart, the more we pulse our heart into a global pulse altogether. It's really beautiful. It feels beautiful, it sounds beautiful, and it's all backed by the wonderful science the HeartMath Institute shares with the world. Whenever you exhale, just feel your body relax. And feel yourself making a deeper connection with your heart. There's no thinking involved. Please just get out of your own way and breathe. And feel. And feel a little deeper. This is when we are highly coherent. And our personal coherence deeply affects social coherence on this planet. And it affects social change. So now try to find a deeper meaning with your breath. And a deeper way to feel, because we will be repeating those words again. If you hear my voice change a little bit, it is because I'm getting emotional about this, because it is very powerful. Maybe we can bring up the words again and we'll repeat those words, and maybe you can repeat them with us.
I breathe. Allow me to feel. My heart. Our collective wisdom. Thank you. I am
I am you. Thank you. So by deeper connecting with our breath, we start feeling deeper. We start feeling our hearts deeper. And you can feel the emotion of the connection that we have with one another. Maybe you do feel the joy that we feel here. Maybe you do feel the deep gratitude for being able to pulse the field together. And we encourage you to keep breathing deeply, feeling that connection with your body, and especially with your heart. Beautiful toroidal field becomes less dense. Maybe you can even visualize it pulsing into the field. We are literally the field. This is why Rumi used to say, you're not just a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean and a drop. You are the field. And while we're connecting with our hearts, we keep breathing deeply and creating that beautiful coherence. Guess what? The ocean changes. Our ancestors knew that. You look at the beautiful structure, molecules in the ocean, they smile. They have this beautiful structure. And we use the ocean as an extension of our heart to pulse the field. Folks in South America know what I'm talking about. Please keep your awareness while breathing around your heart. While I'm talking, and just keep feeling the words. Keep feeling that we are part of the ocean. So when Hilary speaks the words, I am you, feeling that deeply. So we'll repeat this beautiful, sacred formula again. It's a mantra.
I breathe. Allow me to feel. My heart. Our collective wisdom. I am you. It really does matter what you feed the field, as Rolin shared earlier.
Feeling the deep breathing going in and out. Maybe you'll be amazed about how your body feels right now, because we are part of a collective field. It's a big pulse. And you know who feels it too? Our beautiful Mother Earth, Gaia. She's the field generator. You know what she tells you? Thank you. I need you. So keep feeling that connection, what Teresa said earlier, with your feet on the ground. You feel the support of Gaia. And it becomes now this beautiful circle that we're part of. The circle is round. Feeling it pulsing from your hearts, from your body, vibrating on my skin at the moment, into the field, into Gaia. Gaia radiating that out to us, and even enhancing the field more and more. And with that, it's bouncing off the charts. Keep staying in your heart. Don't go into your head. Try to figure out anything. Your heart lies at the secret of everything. While we're breathing, Maybe you want to make a deal, a promise with yourself. You pulse the field on a regular basis every day. It feels good, doesn't it? So let's get back to this beautiful mantra. It has very specific words. They were literally downloaded from the field. Please keep feeling the breathing, the feeling, your heart, collective wisdom, the gratitude of thank you, and the deep connectedness of I am you as we speak the words.
I breathe. Allow me to feel. My heart. Our wisdom. Thank you. I am you.
And your words carry the energy that's pulsing into the field. Everything we do today is pulsing the field. The beautiful drumming, the beautiful words, but especially staying connected to your heart. Keep feeling your breath deeply. It feels good. You know it's not selfish. But that Gaia is vibrating too. You can join us also next week. Oh, sorry, tomorrow. Drop a link in. Even while we speak, stay coherent. Just one more time, keep feeling beautiful, the connection with your heart while breathing deeply. Getting fully out of your way, because the moment you don't really want anything, that's the moment. You can have anything you want. Get out of your own way. Keep feeling your heart while breathing. Feel that natural pulse. Feel the connection with Gaia.
We invite you to join us on a healing journey, a journey to
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wholesome, loving energy to you guys for all that you do and for really helping to invite people to create coherence hotspots where they live so that we're reminded and we're pulsing the field every day and we're supporting each other to really cultivate a practice, right? And that's what we're doing here with the Global Coherence Day and with our month-long initiative. And I'm going to put some links in the chat. You saw Global Hotspot. They want to know what the name of that music was, Dirk. So if you'd be sure to place that in there. And Manose, we put Manose's link in there because people are asking about that. And
okay, well, there is, we have to look it up, but here's the thing, and we didn't think about it. We have a beautiful after party starting about 12:15 Pacific time, and we will share it with you then. This
Right.
is not quick to get you in the room, but it's just we have to look it up. So I hope you'll join us.
I thought that was a good way to get them into the room too. I'm going to put the link to the after party in the chat right now. And also, let's go next to Manose. Thank you again. That was really beautiful, both of you, and really appreciate your presence. And thank you for hosting the after party for everyone and sharing more of your wisdom there.
Thank you,
so much,
Teresa.
Teresa.
We're very honored and we're very proud to be part of your beautiful platform together with everybody who's on there today. We very much appreciate everyone, and of course, everyone on the call. Yes.
Thank you, guys. You know, we were talking about how we're learning how to partner in a new way. And I'll just say one thing for all of you that are out there: when we get on our partner calls together, we are always having so much fun, and everybody's super excited to be there. And I think that's when you know that it's you're following your heart, and you're following a passion, and you're responding to what wants to happen. And I really appreciate how much fun we keep all having together, and we're all growing and supporting each other's growth. So thank you all. And Manose, my beloved friend, back again. Maybe we
yes.
can just stay in this beautiful
Yes.
feeling.
Yes. Oh, I'm in a space of yum, gratitude, and that love, that unconditional love, just there for everybody. Everybody. It's been there for everybody. It's always there. It's always going to be there. You know, I want to share this beautiful poem that comes from it comes from a kirtan bhajan tradition from India, and I used to listen to this, and this couple lines summarize all the devotional magic or emotions in this line. It goes like this. It's in Hindi. So Kona jane bansuriya kisko pukare. I wonder whom that flute is calling for. I wonder whom that flute is crying for. Kona jane wo bansuriya kisko pukare. Jiska man bhaye wo usi ka gun gaye. It calls for you, my dear. It calls for you. Whoever get intoxicated by listening to it, it sings for one's name. So you know that music is always playing. Music is always there. It never stopped. It's up to you. It's up to you to receive it. How much to receive it? I'm going to share you a beautiful. This is something that this every year we go to Greece. Usually we are in Greece this time with Deva and Miten in this beautiful island called Corfu. I've been going there for the last 10 years, every summer. So this summer I couldn't go there because, of course, everybody's kind of. But I really miss my Greek family. And this song comes from, there's olive trees and there's lots of cicadas when you go under the olive trees and sing this turquoise blue sea, and this all cicadas going cicadas, they say. And I was there with my, this charango. I got this in South America, and I just could not stop myself to join them. And this song came. So honoring all of you, I'd like to offer this song to you.
Did you notice the chime started playing again, Manose?
Oh, chime is always playing.
Right when you finished, just like last time.
Yes. You know, uh, so I'm so grateful, Teresa. Thank you so much. All of you, of course, all of
Yeah.
you, everybody. And yes, all I can do is just smile.
Yes, well, your smile is pretty infectious. So I'm going to share a few. I'm going to share a few things. We've been doing great on our timing. It's been wonderful. We're in a really beautiful flow. People have been asking about some different things. Somebody was looking for a link to learn more about you, Claudia. If you might want to put something in there for that, you can also touch us at the globalcoherencepulse.org. The recording is on Facebook, but also we'll be posting that on the Global Coherence Pulse website in our archives section. So you'll be able to go back if you are just joining us now and you missed something, you'll be able to access the recordings all day. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we have a few things to share with you. I'm super excited about. Just going to get my thing where I can see it. Here we go. Share my screen. Let's see, somebody's sharing, so I'm going to stop them sharing. And I'm going to go share my screen. So the schedule for today, because we have 2 more Coherence Pulse sessions happening. And if you want to see the schedule, you can just come to our coherencepulse.org website. The next one's going to be at 2 o'clock, and that's with Nassim Haramein. Marshall Lefferts is going to join, for those of you who know him from the Resonance Science Foundation and Cosmometry. Andrea Malone is going to come from Art Crystal, and she's going to bring one of the big 64 tetrahedron grid art crystals to use in our pulse today. And Cornflower, and if you haven't heard Cornflower's music, he's really fun and lively, and so it should be a really great afternoon session. And then in the evening, we have a special soul salon. And that's going to just be an ongoing evening of pulsing the field with our joy and music and play and love. So definitely come on for the evening session with Just Magic. And this picture that you're seeing here, that's really kind of the feeling of the soul salon. You definitely get that vibe. So we look forward to you joining us today. And this schedule will be here all day. We're going to be back on Zoom, and we'll also be on Facebook. And we have a new Facebook page, you guys. We just put it up. Penny just got it up a couple of days ago. So if you're out on Facebook right now and you're listening on Facebook, you're on the line, please go and check out our page and like it and help us to grow our community out on Facebook as well. And then we would like to invite you into a month-long experience. So today is really just the beginning, the Global Coherence Day. We really wanted to launch off an entire month of this kind of focus. And, you know, we join intensives so that we can really deepen our practice, so that we can make some foundational changes in the heart of our life, so that we can, you know, connect with other people who feel and are doing the same. And that's what's going to happen in the Global Coherence Pulse experience. We're going to, for the month of August, commit to being an island of coherence together. And we'll join together on Saturdays, every Saturday for the next, throughout the month. We'll only be doing 2 sessions on those Saturdays, one in the morning, 10 to 12, like this one, and one at 6 to 8. In the evening. And boy, do we have a really fun lineup, which I'll show you in just a second of who's going to be joining us on that. And this is being offered as a gift. There's no charge to enter. We don't want to create a barrier for us coming together and learning and exploring and practicing and embodying coherence and pulsing the field. It's really important that we have the opportunities to do that. And here's some, let's see if I scroll down. Yeah, here's some of the fun people who are going to be playing with us. Next Saturday, we have Greg Braden in the morning. And we have Marshall Lefferts, who you're going to see a little bit this afternoon. He's going to be in the evening. The following week, we have Jude Curvin and Jane Corbett. And they're also being joined by an incredible musician, I can't remember her name at the moment, who plays with Bella Gaia. So there'll be some amazing experience there. And then in the evening, we have Joe Dispenza. It's going to be joining us and partnering with Rolin to bring us some great wisdom and energy. On the 3rd Saturday, we're going to have a lot of badass women, really some feminine wisdom energy coming in on the 3rd Saturday. And on our final session, we'll have Claudia Wells coming back with the overview effect, a very, very special morning session, really bringing us into that experience that the astronauts had when they looked back at the Earth in awe and really saw how interconnected we all are. And she's been working on a project to bring that experience more fully into the heart of our lives, since many of us can't be out in space, but to have that awe experience really changes us. And then on our closing ceremony, Bella Gaia is going to be coming and doing a beautiful performance for us. And we'll have different musicians playing throughout. You'll see some of their beautiful faces here and throughout, and always bringing in some great music. So you can go right now to islandsofcoherence.net, islandsofcoherence.net. This is our new network where we can join together for experiences like this in a safe environment, in a rich container. You'll be able to have a profile We'll have a designated event space. We'll be able to go there to watch the event. So we're not having to be on Zoom, but we're actually inside of this sacred space. We'll have additional resources for us to explore, and we'll invite everybody in between each one of those Saturday sessions to continue to pulse the field all week long. So we'll move into a very, very deep and committed practice. And that's what we're inviting here. And I know I have decided, I'm claiming the month of August for me to really do some deep healing work, to do a cleanse and to really focus on things that I've been wanting to bring into my life in a deeper way, and really using the energy of the field. Because when we join together like this, our capacities are amplified. And so I'm going to really make this a sacred container for myself, and I really want to invite others to do the same. So you can go there right now and you can register and you can join the Islands of Coherence and claim your coherence and join us for this month-long journey. And then the last thing I want to invite is that we are offering all of this as a gift. As I said, I think it's really important that we don't have any barrier to entry. We all need to come together and be in a shared field and be in the practice and join together like this. So we're offering it as a gift, and we're going to invite you, if you feel inspired by what you're doing, that you give a gift back. You support the work of the Islands of Coherence Network. We could really grow a beautiful network together. Support our ability to offer more pulses. And as it says here, it doesn't really matter the amount. What matters is the heart behind any gift you might give. And so if you do decide to give a gift, and there's a donate button on the Global Coherence website and also on the Islands of Coherence website, both places you can offer that. And when you push the button to give whatever gift you're doing at whatever size, put your whole heart behind it. And I know that when you do that, your gift will be magnified 1,000,000 times. So we really want to invite us to grow this network together, grow the capacity to build more of a critical mass, and whatever you can do to support us, we appreciate it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I just want to open up the line for a few minutes just to say some closing words from a few people. And again, I want to thank my partners on the Live It Now Productions, which is a little production company that's been doing a lot of the work that you're seeing there, is setting up the websites and doing all this stuff. Penny and Alexi, thank you so much for the love that you've been pouring in to make this possible and to create such a beautiful space for all of us. And I hope that you'll all sign up and join us for the entire month. We're going to keep pulsing the field and having more sessions like this. So Rolin, how about, do you have any final words you'd like to offer in for the day today? I love your smiley face.
Well, it would really be what I said earlier in mirroring and echoing what Claudia and Teresa you have said, and just really to invite, especially today, but this month, to put as much focus on remembering to radiate love, just to ourselves, to everybody, as often as we can throughout the day, but just really make that the practice for the month, of remembering to actually feel and radiate the love into the field.
Thank you, Rolin. I really appreciate that. I just was reading a message that you guys on the chat haven't been able to see each other. You've only been able to chat the panelists. So we've been seeing all of your amazing comments. I mean, the field has been so beautiful and you haven't seen them. So I do get a copy of these chats, and I'm going to make that available because there's been some wonderful sharing, and we'll make sure that that gets changed. Claudia, are you there? Would you like to just share a few closing words? Let's see if I can spotlight your video. There we go. Yeah. Oops. There we go.
I'm here. I'm actually in a place beyond words, and it is lovely, and I'd like to stay here. So I'm just going to be sending energetic waves of gratitude and appreciation for everyone who joined. Teresa, just thank you for your masterful production today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have been getting the messages in the chats for like the after party. I just put a link in there again. Dirk and Hilary, I'm going to go and spotlight your video. If you'd like to say some closing words.
Yeah, we see a lot of chats coming in for the after party, and that will start soon after this is over. So then we'll open it up. What we strongly feel is the collective pulse, you know, from everyone, whatever angle we choose, and it's very, very beautiful. We see a lot of beautiful feedback, and we hope you will join us in the after party, because an after party is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be coherent. It's a coherent after party. And so
it's full of joy, like Manose says, and it's full
Yeah.
of connection and integration, and that's really a huge part of bringing that in, is connecting. So we look forward to seeing you guys there.
It's your party, it's our party. So yeah, we'll be there soon. Thank you, and thank you, Teresa.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. And Manose, I'm going to go to you.
You know, I want to share something. We just did Deva Miten and I did just group just this week. We just finished it, and I got a question. There was a Q&A, and I remember saying like about joy, what joy means. And when you say joy, there's Krishna is present. This blue skin, very mysterious boy or God, you know, plays flute. And if you put together, just my explanation of Krishna is, if you put together all joy in one container, that's the explanation of Krishna. And I said that, you know, and I got this question. Then who is Radha? Then, you know, Radha is Krishna's beloved. Who is Radha? This beautiful lady wrote to me, and it's a very beautiful question, you know, like if Krishna is the joy in the container, then who is Radha? And I meditate in that question, and then the answer came. The container is Radha, that holds the Krishna joy. That's Radha. Radha, Krishna, divine feminine, divine masculine together. So remembering joy, remember Radha, remembering Krishna, you know, there's this little goes like this. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Manose. Thank you, everyone. Well, my heart feels so happy to be here at the end of this first session, feeling choked up.
Oh.
Yeah, such beautiful love today that I felt in the field. It was very palpable, and we're just beginning, right? And the more we join together and the more we say yes, I'm claiming to be a coherent presence on the planet, right? And that we really start now, and we continue to do that. And let's spend the month together. Let's spend the month really practicing and pulsing the field, and let's see what happens when we do. Because as Claudia said, maybe it doesn't take that many of us doing it all at once to actually shift the system to a beautiful new tomorrow. So love you all. Thank you. We'll see you at 2:00. Come on back. We'll be here with Nissim. Blessings, everyone.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Blessings.